I remember 9 years ago having Dr. Jerome Corsi and many other researchers on who had written and compiled books showing the school records of Barack Obama, showing different statements and different publications that he'd written for, that he was a Muslim. And that he, of course, had gone to madrasa, religious school in Indonesia. The first major foreign speech he gave was in Cairo, Egypt, just a few weeks after being in office. And if you remember back to 2004, it was all over the foreign news, but also our own news, that the Muslims were blown away that he had better pronunciation, better pronouncements of the Islamic text than most of their top imams. And then he's got his cousins and his half-brothers and all these people that are at the forefront in Kenya of the political arm of Islam. And then, of course, there's the military arm attacking police stations, shooting up shopping malls and parochial schools. And even back then, 9 years ago, when he was candidate Obama, I was just like, this is too much. Okay, he's wearing some Muslim garb. He goes to some Muslim weddings. Maybe he went to a madrasa when he's a kid. Okay, but there's no way the establishment, as bad as they are, would actually put a radical Islamicist in power. And that's one of the few things I've said on air that I really made a big miscalculation on and a big mistake. I knew that they were funding the radicalization of Islam. I knew that they were manipulating it, using the threat to take our liberties. But I really didn't think that the elite would actually want to bring in gigantic hordes of unwashed third world Muslims and then start catering to them at every level. Now, we've been aware in Europe for 5 years, in the U.S. for 2 years, of massive stealth, illegal invasion called migratory movements of jihadists. Most of them are military-age men. In fact, if you go back to even a few months ago, even Interpol said around 80% are military-age men. Most of them aren't Syrian. They just claim they're Syrian and they have fake passports. But the Germans, the Swedes, the French, and others are accepting it. Then we look at what's happening on our border, where thousands a month of other than Mexicans, is what they're called, on the Border Patrol files, come across just at the McAllen sector alone that they catch. And they estimate that they're only catching a fraction. We've talked to the Border Patrol union head in that area, 20%. Jakari was just down there a week and a half ago. We have those interviews. Obama has done everything he can to block the news that this is happening and to block the real numbers. The good news is it's starting to come out. Look at drudgereport.com today if you're a TV viewer. If you're a radio listener, go to drudgereport.com. We also have this important information mirrored at Infowars.com. And as Drudge points out, and this isn't about who gets credit. I'm glad this is all coming out now. This is not new news. Drudge covered it in 2007, 2008, 2004. I don't think Drudge remembers he did that, but I do. He's got a link to himself in 2008. And we, of course, covered it. It's not about the credit. It's about the good news now that finally this is in major newspapers and Fox News is covering it. Because when they first came out with these in 2004, media said they were fake. Until in some of his own Harvard law journals and things, these photos were also discovered. Now, the difference is these are color versions of the black and whites that were already available, that have been in print publications put out by Obama to push his multicultural cred on the street. So there's a lot happening here, but when I get up here and I say that our crew, Adon Salazar and Kit Daniels and Jakari Jackson and Zimmerman and Ali and everybody else down the border are breaking international news, it's not so we get credit, it's so we can shine attention on our wide open border and the national security crisis, and also illustrate how all this police state theater with the TSA and the spying and the NSA is all a joke. Because the Border Patrol, in their own words, is being ordered to, quote, complete the smuggling process in the last 3-4 years. So it's now as if the heavens have opened up and hell on earth is raining down, because I'm here to tell you, it's not 100,000 refugees we've taken in the last few years, and now Obama wants 100,000 more, he's saying. They used that same manipulation in Europe starting 5 years ago, claiming it was 10,000, then 100,000. Just 2 years ago, they were saying it was 100,000 in Germany. It was 2 million. So when they say 100,000, they mean 1 million. And I'm going to tell you something. I've lived in Austin, Texas since I was a sophomore in high school, a junior in high school. My mother's from Austin. I grew up in Dallas. I've been all over the country. I've been around a lot of areas of the world, too. The only places I've seen this many classically garbed, third world style, Orthodox Muslims in the streets is somewhere like London or Toronto. And I mean folks with in the nice part of town with rugs on the street, not paying taxes, not paying fees, caring less, burning incense and drinking tea, folks. I mean, it's like Baghdad or something. And now Austin, Texas is like that. So I don't know the numbers, but I know, again, my high school, we have the report on Infowars.com. I'm about to get to the new news here in a moment, had 7 out of 1,400 and something students, you can pull it up, 230 plus were new in the last year from Syria and Iraq, quote, refugees, just the children. So here's the new story. Bill O'Reilly has gotten exclusive photos that are not exclusive. They were published years ago by Drudge and the Daily Mail and WorldNet Daily and InfoWars. And look, everybody knows I don't like Bill O'Reilly because he's too much of an Obama supporter or Hillary supporter. But I'm at least glad he's going in this direction. It's just the fact is that Bill O'Reilly's not breaking this. But he is breaking it to the Fox News audience. So it shows a major shift. The fact that they can't hold this information back. And Joel Gilbert, that's made films about this subject, is going to be joining us in the third hour. So the point is, the electronic Berlin Wall covering all this up is breaking. And this isn't the only thing breaking today. Look at this. Bill O'Reilly shares photos of Barack Obama in traditional Muslim dress he claims are from his half-brother Malik's wedding, saying they prove his deep emotional ties to Islam. Obama tears up for real when he's speaking to an Islamic group and really gets off on it, and that's who he is. And Odinga and you know, all these other people that he's been connected to are involved in all sorts of radicalization operations over there in Kenya. And the Muslims that are a minority in Kenya are taking over. That's a fact. And, of course, who is he allied with? Bill O'Reilly shares photos of Barack Obama in traditional Muslim dress he claims are from his half-brother Malik's wedding, saying they prove his deep emotional ties to Islam. Bill O'Reilly shared photos. The Fox News host said it was very difficult to verify the exact location of the photographs, a similar set of which were released back in 2004 by Malik and previously published on Daily Mail. He claimed they were taken in Maryland in the 1990s. And it just goes on from there. I mean, there is Obama with other members of his family in Islamic dress. There's his family holding up the photos. I mean, this is just a fact. And then there's his wife, Michelle, you know, over there hanging out. And then there's members of his family hanging out with Gaddafi. I mean, this is what's going on. This is where Obama shares his cultural roots, whether he's from Kenya or not. And then when he's in Indonesia, his family puts him in a mosque as well. Of course, a Sunni mosque, a Saudi-backed mosque. So I remember when they were on the news saying in 2003, 2004, we can play the clips, Obama truth squads, just go to YouTube, they're still there. Obama truth squads in Missouri, and it was in other states too, will be out arresting anyone that says he's a Muslim and doesn't want to lower taxes. He is a Christian who will cut your taxes. This is district attorneys and police chiefs, Democrats, on TV in Vermont and Missouri and Michigan and other areas with a script saying, we're going to arrest you if you say he's a Muslim. Well, I could say he's a Martian from Pluto if I want to, or a Chinese jet pilot. Whether it's true or not, I have free speech. But he does have these Islamic ties, and then look at all his actions since then. So here's the big news. This is what Drudge is linked to. We're also compiling an article boiling this down because it's a big deal. This is breaking through into the consciousness. O'Reilly reveals unseen photos of Obama in Muslim dress, deep emotional ties to religion that hurt USA. Then you scroll down here, red linked, Obama joint effort with corporations can resettle refugees, quote, limitlessly. Daily Caller, and under that, Muslim camps spread in USA. And then, of course, when there's rapes and assaults, they cover it up. Refugee crisis, majority unemployed. Now, again, you're saying, yeah, tell us something we don't know. The point is, it's now breaking all over the place. And the numbers are secret. I told you, it's big corporations, the Vatican, other big churches, Protestant, you name it, are taking not just refugee families from China and Latin America and wherever. They're taking them from the Middle East, and they just give them new ID cards. I mean, the city housing here in Austin is just full of folks. And they are so arrogant. They are so arrogant. We just had cases. It's up on Infowars.com. Paul Watson wrote about it. In Minneapolis, St. Paul, where I've been there years ago, that's where our network's based, is an incredible amount of Somalis there. They basically run the cab driving. And they were running around, shooting stuff in the air and driving down sidewalks and screaming jihad, waving Islamic flags. And the police have confirmed this. And then, of course, they just arrested 3 jihadis trying to join ISIS who were Somali from St. Paul and Minneapolis. I mean, this is crazy. Welcome back. I'm your host, Alex Jones. We've got a bunch of guests and information coming up, and I'm going to start breaking that down at the start of the next segment. But first off, I've been building up in the last segment to our reporters being arrested yesterday outside McAllen, Texas, beside the Rio Grande River, openly going up and trying to talk to state police, trying to talk to the Border Patrol, trying to ask where they've been seeing movement, where they've been seeing groups coming across, is what the press does. We've done this in Arizona, New Mexico. Countless other news crews have done this. I mean, in Arizona, there's militias with, firearms out there aiding the Border Patrol in apprehending people. And I guess because we were nice to the state police and the Border Patrol, they then illegally arrested them, Zimmerman, Alley, and Biggs, and took their legal firearms and then tried to make them pay hundreds of dollars a piece to, quote, unimpound them. So I don't want to have to do this, but I'm going to have to sue them. I just have to do it. Because they hire these young people, these Border Patrol folks that now are just delivery agents for illegal aliens. The Border Patrol Union has said that on Fox News. We, quote, complete the smuggling process. So they make you put your hands up. And this is after our crew was driving around trying to interview people. Because, see, they're not threatening. They need to then practice pretending like they're Border Patrol on them. And of course, notice it's a very high ratio of female Border Patrol agents. This looks like this is some type of training op. You've got an older Border Patrol guy there, and then they've got the ladies out learning who the enemy is. And you really come to grips with the fact that the American people really are the enemy. Now, when you actually talk to the Border Patrol Union, they don't like what's happening. They understand they're being given orders that are criminal. Supreme Court told Obama, stop doing what he's doing. It's illegal. He just said, I'm going to keep doing it. He even said, I'm going to keep doing it. So they just basically were able to upload some of this footage last night. More's coming up. Joe Biggs will join us with others, with the others that went through this. But I looked at the laws. I looked at, quote, the signs they have that just say state land. No trespass. Don't, secure area, not a fence. Just right there by a major town. And just says state land. So they then talk to them about what they're doing. They go, oh, we're down here with some cameras to catch the illegals coming across. Hidden cameras. Oh, come show us where they are. And then you go show them, and they arrest you. And it is an arrest when they take your firearms and put handcuffs on you and have you put your arms up and hold you for 2 hours and then take your firearms. Because God forbid a slave have a gun. Only these government bureaucrats out there acting tough in their snake leggings can have them. And I'll tell you why they're upset. The footage that Biggs and others shot of drugs being brought across the Rio Grande, nearby this area, and talking to the head of the emergency management, Mr. Pagan, who said, no, the Border Patrol brings them to us, the illegals get here, we load them on buses, give them vouchers, they're not tested for disease, and then we ship them into the United States. We have the Border Patrol, they had emergency management for McAllen, all of it on tape, and our news it ends up being on ABC News, Fox News, Drudge Report, everywhere. And it's Congress is now talking about it. Repeatedly on the campaign trail, on national TV, Donald Trump plugs InfoWars and talks about our footage while he was in El Paso the day he was there. He came in the afternoon. That morning, we got the footage of the giant bales of drugs being brought in. And for that, they now, like highwaymen, robbed my reporters of their firearms. Let's start playing the clip from the past with Trump and then right through to today. Here it is.
What happened? So while we're there, you probably read it. It was in Drudge, who's great, by the way. Drudge is amazing. But the story in Drudge, and big story, it's all over the place now. Guys swimming across, and big bags of stuff, drugs, swimming across the river, right? Swimming right across. And they put the drugs, and actually the camera crew, or the reporters, were petrified because they thought they were going to be killed. Because they're showing this on camera. The guy's carrying bags of stuff. It was drugs.
So
what happened today in particular is that the Border Patrol dropped off some, they call them detainees, but obviously they're not detained after they drop them off. Mm-hmm. And normally they have tickets or arranged transportation to go somewhere in the interior. Well, today...
You know, hit stop right there because there's more of this.
Some of them hadn't had transportation.
I'm going to come back after break and just play the whole thing again. See, they don't want us catching the drugs coming across, and they don't want us catching the illegals coming across. So let me tell the militia and the patriots and the citizen reporters stuff. Going out and apprehending illegals to give them to the Border Patrol, who most of the time are ordered to turn them loose, is doing nothing. Information war is the way to go. So I'm going to have to get down to the border now. Oh, I'm coming. And I'm going to call on everybody to start going down to McAllen and exercising our First Amendment. Do you understand state police, and do you understand Border Patrol? You may be involved in treason and dereliction of duty. We're not scumbags! Last week, we pointed out the globalists have declared open season on free individuals and nations worldwide. When the British left the euro, the globalists decided to go into high gear. They've now announced that Hillary won't be indicted no matter how many crimes she commits. It's time for us to take our matters into our own hands. The globalist warfare model is siege. It wants to make us dependent. It wants to cut off our economies. It wants to be able to set up a worldwide financial crisis where there are food shortages that are already happening in most parts of the world, where they basically bring us to our knees and where we capitulate to their demands. That's why we're extending the July 4th sale right through next week, because it's all about declaring your independence from the globalists. You don't just declare your independence when you buy high-quality storable foods or water filters or shortwave radios at InfoWarsStore.com. You declare your independence when you share links of articles and videos and information from the broadcast, because there's a war on for your mind. It's a total 360 win at InfoWarsStore.com.